So let's wait for the uh, as this is the new link. So let's wait for the others to join here instead of the old link. Can I start? Or should I wait? I'm going to start in just 2 minutes as the link would change and most of the people have to shift here. I think everyone can join on this link. I can see only 5 users right now. So I'm going to start now. So welcome everyone in this session. So here in this session, I'm going to tell you about Git and GitHub. That is totally for the beginners. They are for everyone from the college as well as the experienced developer. So this might be helpful for everyone else. And I am myself Kapil Garg from AFAC IT Solutions and from Chandigarh IT Entrepreneur Group. And I would like to thank Mr. Rajesh and Mr. Avneep and all the management team of APG College for giving us the opportunity to educate all of you guys. So here I'm going to start again. So this is bit of more detail about myself. My name is Kapil, and I am the co-founder of Afak IT Solutions Private Limited. And the office that you seeing behind me is my office, and I'm also the active member of IT Tri City IT Entrepreneur Group, and I love doing JavaScript. Uh, I would like to also tell you why I love doing JavaScript only, because from when I started my career almost 12 years back, then I used to work with ASP.NET. Now for last 6 to 7 years, I've been totally into JavaScript, and JavaScript is the the technology which is there in the market from last 25 years, and it is going to remain the same in next 25 years as well. So this would be a good career option for you guys as well. And also, my email ID is kapil.garg@afwork.com. So with this email, if you guys would have any question, if there would be any feedback, you guys can contact me here, and I'll be able to reach out to you through the email only. So now we can start. So what is Git and why Git? So let me tell you something about how it came into existence. So initially, what used to happen, like for example, you have the university project, college project, where you have all the student information stored in a in your website, and you are managing all the students with the details and the card detail. So you have to, if some developer is working in, let's say two developers are working on it, and what we used to do in the past, initial time when GitHub was not there. So we used to like write the code in our own machine, and if someone is sitting in different place, so it gets really difficult to communicate between the codes. Like I have 5 files in my code, and another person is having 3 files change in his code. So if we are working on a same file and the changes are in the same files, it gets really tricky to manage, how the changes are going to be merged, and you have to keep the backup on daily basis. So as a developer, I have to see what I had made changes, 5 days back or 10 days back. So it become really difficult to go through all the files and to detect, which files were changed at which date. So to overcome all these problems, let's say the merging of the files, when two files are combining together, and to check your changes for a previous date, let's say 1 month ago, what changes you did. So it was very tedious task. So after that, there were different version controls were there. So GitHub is one of that, and it started from 2005. It was created by the Linus Torvald, and that was the guy who created in Ruby on Rails in 2005. So I'm going to tell you like how this is going to solve your problem, every developer's problem, I guess. So you initially have to install the Git and create the GitHub account. I believe you can go to most of the guys must have created the GitHub account, and then there is a if you're a window, there's a exe file that you need to install, and then if you are in Linux, you need to do the command sudo yum install git, or on Debian it's a different through apt get command, and for Mac as well, there is a DMG file available in the given link. And during this presentation, if you guys would have any doubt, you can email me all these doubts. So we are going to go through all of these things. How does GitHub work, and whatever. I'm going to show you some commands, like how to exactly use those commands to create your own branch, repository, and everything. Whatever jargon we use in using GitHub. So let's come here. So this is the website github.com, and here you can create public and private repositories. So what do you mean by public and private repositories? So I want to clarify. So in public repositories, there are the repos, like we call them as a repo. For example, your whole code is a kind of stored in a repo, like as you store in a folder. So those repos are stored in a folder, and that folder resides on the GitHub, and we call them as a repositories or repo. So that is the jargon we use while using the GitHub. So it public means that folder, that repo is available to all public. They can copy that code and develop out of box from that code only. And for example, this is useful when you are creating some kind of utilities. For example, if you are building a schooling management studio system, and you want to share the code with the whole world so that they can get the benefit, or if you, let's say, you're developing some kind of plugins, Chrome plugin, to get the data from the websites. Let's say if you want to create a website plugin which would get the contact number from that website, so you can, create in a public repository or private repository. Private is only shared among the one like who created it and who wants to share with others. So this one is GitHub account, and I would encourage everyone to create the GitHub account so that they can get more familiar. And one more thing, some people were talking about how they can get the certificate. So there is going to be one assignment given to all of you. So after watching this course, you will be given an assignment. So whosoever completes that assignment, they would be eligible for receiving the certificate. So after that, so this is the base. So coming to the GitHub first part, which is version control. So what is version control? So version control is the name. You mean you need to do the versioning. Versioning means you are creating the copies of the code which have been changed. For example, you have like five HTML files, and you are making changes in two files only, and so that will kind of versioning. So because you made only changes to two files, so that is kind of version 1. The previous version was version 0. So that kind of GitHub keeps doing the versioning. So based on that version, it stores what changes had been made. So it would store the version number. So this is called version control system. And it the all the version controls, there are different versions. So some of the versions also allow collaborative development. What it means is, like, if you're sitting in a US, and if someone is sitting in the Jalandhar, so different places people are there, and they can do all of them can do the collaborative development, so that get do the merges itself, as I already explained you guys. So this will also allow you to know who made what changes. So if, let's say, I'm Kapil and I made some changes, so that name also goes with that merges the changes that I made. So later on, if I need to see who made changes to this file 1 month back, so GitHub would clearly understand and give you the information. So it is useful that the way. Also, it allows you to revert your changes, and you can go back to a previous state if you want. Let's say the commit that was done by developer, let's say A, for last 2 days were not good enough to have that in the project. The changes that were made by the last developer was not good enough, so you can revert those changes. So all these functionalities are already there in this version control system. So there are different type of version controls. So there's a distributed version controls, and this one, like, there's a centralized version control system. So GitHub is a distributed version control. What it means is, like, before GitHub, like, along with the GitHub, we can say there was a team foundation server, and there were SVN was there. So if you might have heard of this term, but this is like, SVN, and they were kind of a version control system as well, but they were centralized system. What it does, like, keep all the changes of this, we call them as a snapshot or versions of changes, it keeps in a center location on a server, only at one server. So if I'm a user, I have to work on that. So I will download those changes from the server all the time in centralized version control. But this is distributed version control. What it means that you are the offline and you do not have internet connection, and you want to see what happened 1 month back. So all those changes information is there in your system. So this is what we call distributed version control system. That means all the changes, all the code, all the history is there in your system only. So it really helps you work offline as well. So, and user can keep entire code and history on their location machine, and user can make any changes without internet access, except pushing and pulling from the remote server. So I'll give you the diagram. I think you won't be able to understand exactly about this. Okay. So, as I was telling you about, other alternative which were not popular, but they were there for some time. But now GitHub is the most popular version control system. So, if you talk about material system, and then SVN is a sub version, tool or pre-force. So, all of these, tools are centralized, version control, but GitHub is a distributed version control. So I think that is the best, and even in the market, it is going to be the best. So how does it work? So it can be complicated, as I can tell you if you guys are the beginner or entry level guys, but having Git knowledge is really going to enhance your resume and your skills. So this could be a really good opportunity for you guys. So initially it could be hard little bit, but as you keep using it, it is going to become very much friendly, and it is very lightweight. So it can be complicated for the first time, but there are few key concepts that you need to remember. If you understand that, then it becomes really, really easy to use that. So there are some important Git terminology, and they are in the blue on the upcoming slides. So first of all, so the first keyword is like snapshots. So what is snapshots? Snapshot is a picture of the changes, the way it keep tracks of the your code history. So as I explained you about the version, so version is the same thing as a snapshot. It keeps the copy of snapshot. Like let's say I have made 10 changes in a file, and I have committed today, and then I will be committing tomorrow. So it becomes 30 days. For last 30 days, I've been committing all the days, and then every one day you can count as a snapshot, because there would be 30 snapshots for a GitHub repository wherever you are going to do the work. So essentially records what all your file looks like at a given point of time. So you want to go back and see on the 15th how my code looked like. So this is how you get the snapshot, and you would be able to see. And third point is like you decide when to take snapshot and what files. So if let's say I have made changes to the 10 files, and I want to freeze the code in your term, in the beginner term. Generally we call it as a commit. So whenever you want to freeze the code, these 5 files are looking good, so I'm going to fix this project till that much files, or keep the snapshot of till this point of time with five of my files. So I can do that with a GitHub. So with GitHub I have the ability to go back to visit any snapshot. As I already told you, you can go back to check your snapshot in your previous time. So it will always stay with your code and in GitHub repo. So this is code commit. So act of creating snapshot, as I already explained you guys. So it can be now known as, if I'm telling you something that I freeze the code, that means I've committed the code. if someone else would do that, if one person says that, if he has completed the code, that means, have you committed your code? So commit, what is going to happen, commit, if they are committing to the server, then that code become freezed, and a person from another location can download that code, and it will automatically be merged in your college management project. So I just made a new commit. So all these are the work that we use with this. So a project would have bunch of commits, so that means you can have unlimited commits and unlimited changes. So commit contains of three pieces of information. So information about how the file is changed from previously. So let's say if you have a HTML file, and you are making changes in your, let's say your name is there in your file, in the HTML file, and my name is Kapil. So let's say I have Kapil, and I make it to Kapil one, and then that would be one file to change. I need to send it to server. So that would be committed. So that file would be only committed, and a reference to that commit came before it, called the parent commit. So the commits will go like, one commit, two commit, and all the commits would be having a hash code attached with it. So the below the string that you are seeing is the ID of the commit. So actually it is a very long ID, and this is how it keeps count of, for all these commits. Whenever you make changes, you made a commit, so you have this long commit ID, and with this long commit ID, you can go back to your previous commit and see how what you made changes about. So now repository, as I already explained you guys, so it is often shortened as a repo, and then a collection of the files or the folder, I would say, with all the history and consist of all your commits. So that would all there in your repository. So in GitHub, you can create as many as repositories you want. It is all free. Public one are free, and private one are having some limit. And also, GitHub is owned by the Microsoft. So Microsoft is handling the GitHub properly. So repository, this whole repository can live on a local machine, on a remote server. So what it means is that you download your code from your remote server, and the repository that you have downloaded from the remote server, that would store in a folder in your machine, local machine. Remote server is the server where actual code is placed, which is github.com, and where different people will be able to download the code, and your local machine is like, the whole repository that you are going to work upon on the code base, because you cannot work on the directly work on the repository files there in the remote server. So you have to download it, and then you just need to commit it and update your local changes to the server with some of the command that I'm going to tell you in a few minutes. Okay, so the act of copying repository from a remote server is called cloning. So what it means is that whenever you download from GitHub, GitHub is having is a remote server. So you can consider github.com as a remote server. So whenever you download from the code from there and to your local machine, so that is called cloning. So the process of downloading to your local machine is cloning, and cloning from remote server allow teams to work together. As I already explained, so different people can work together in a different location. So that is what called remote server from. Okay, so now what are branches? So it would be one step ahead. So to your knowledge. So some of you might be knowing that you can create branches. It's kind of GitHub feature where you would have all the code in a one folder. It is like more folders on the remote server. Like let's say copy of your code in a different folder. So let's say I have the code master code. We call it as master code, where your main code is there, and then you have a dev folder, and you'll copy all the files in the dev folder, and people will be able to directly work on the dev folder only. So that is called a branch. I mean, on remote server, different folders, we can call them as a branches. Okay, so the main branch of project is called master branch. So as I already told you, like we call them as a master. So how a project kind of looks like: a bunch of commit link together that live on some branch contain a repository. So repository is a folder on the remote server, and following images are taken and modified from GitHub. Also a good tutorial. One second, let me take you. I think I need to copy. So I can go back to this So I can go to, and I think this link is not working somehow. So I'm going to show you some practical now. So this is time for the practical. So I hope everyone must have created the GitHub account. If they have not, they can create that. And I have just created a new account as a Tri-City IT entrepreneur with a name, and I can go to my repository. Whenever you go to your account, you get to see this option. Before that, you are not able to see this option. So I can create a click on the new button. So as I'm clicking on the new button, so it will create the repository. So this is kind of organization it automatically creates. So right now it is only one organization. So I can create a folder as a repository. So I would be calling as a repository. So demo, I would say it only demo. So this would be a public repository. Public mean anyone over the internet can access, and this one is private. So I would just create the public repositories so you guys can see it yourself as well. So I can put the description. This is test demo, and so this is initialize the repository with the readme file. So readme file is the option in the GitHub repository where you can write the description about the project. For example, if you would have some description how this project is going to run, and how it, what is the purpose of, so you can add whatever it is, kind of text file that gets added automatically. So I'll check mark this option so you guys will be able to see. And these two other options are there. So git ignore is the option where we have sometimes what used to happen is, like, we have sometimes some files which are totally we do not want, they are build time. For example, if you have used ASP.NET, so whenever you build that project, the DLLs are getting generated by default, and those are resides in bin folder. So you can, with the help of git ignore, you do not want to take those files which are auto generated in the GitHub repository. So with this, I'm going to create the repository. All right, so this is how it looks like, the repository. So right now I have initialized with the README file. So I have only the one. It automatically actually create this README files. So now what I need to do is that I need to copy this project. This is this like whole folder. The repo has been created on the GitHub. So what I need to do, I need to copy this folder or repository from this remote server to my local. So how can I do that? So I'm going to tell you. So so here is the folder. So I'm going to call this as a repo. So this is the repo, and one more thing, like I think I haven't showed you. So download GitHub. So I had not shown you exactly. So how can I install the GitHub? So this is the actual website, and all these options are here. So I can click on this one, and I need to install by doing next text, right? As it is common for the Windows user. So I think everyone can do that. And once you do that, in your folder, when you right click, these two options appears. So in the first option, you have Git GUI and Git Bash. So this is kind of command line, and GUI means graphic user interface. This is kind of a tool to do the commits, and I am not going to recommend this. So good tool to use is like doing by the command line, because it is very easy to use. So I've just right click and open Git bash. So this is the Git bash. This it is most more likely command line, but it just more better for the GitHub commands. So here I'm going to write. So go back to this repository, and I'm going to come here, and I'm going to copy this one. So you would see two type of URLs. Actually, this one is HTTPS, and you can use SSH. So this one is like SSH URL, but we would need to set up the public SSH key. I think that would be really complicated for you guys for now. So I would use SSH, sorry, HTTPS. I'm going to copy this URL, because this one is going to tell you uh, like about my repository location. This is kind of location, and we call this as the origin. So I'm going to write is git clone, and then paste this, right click and paste. So if you check it, this is the whole command to download all the clone from a remote repository to your local folder where it is going to create. So I have this folder GitHub presentation and the repo, and it is going to copy all the code from here to the repo. So I have just done that. So now it is going to ask me about the it hasn't asked me the password. I was expecting something. So if you guys are going to use it, so it's going to ask the password. I'm not sure why it didn't ask me for the password. So where it should be. And one more software I'm going to recommend you, or not for now. So that is Visual Studio Code. We generally do the React development and React native development, then Angular, then Node. All these development we work for the client projects, and we use Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to close this down, and I'm going to use the Visual Studio Code here. So how can I use that? So I can write CMD. So what it is going to do is going to open the command line in this path. So generally, if you open the command line, it's going to use a different drive in C, different folder. So I'm going to use code dot. So what this code is like, it is a Visual Studio code. You might have heard of Visual Studio, but this is a different. This is a Visual Studio code. So what it does is like it gives you the ability to create the files and to work with the files in the React Native development. Although there are multiple editors are there, like Sublime Text and I don't remember exactly, but yeah. So we can use GitHub Visual Studio Code, and you can simply search over the internet about the Visual Studio Code and download it, and you'll be able to use it. And you can also open the folder from here. So the same folder, for example, this demo I have used, you can also do the same. And then I'm going to create a new file here. So one more thing I think I should be showing you. I need to show hidden items. So if I switch on to show hidden items, so what I see is .git folder. So I can tell you, I should be telling you about this folder. So this folder is as a folder. It gets created automatically whenever you're creating a Git repository or downloading a Git repository on your local. So this folder contains all the information, like for say or the location of that origin where you downloaded the code from, and all the commits information is going to be saved here actually. And it is very hidden thing. You generally don't know how it is going to happen, but it always do the merges, and everything is going to the changes are going to be stored through this. So it contains all the information. And you can also add the hooks. You might have heard of continuous deployment. All these are big pictures, so I'm not going to cover here in this tutorial. So I can create a new file here. So let's say I have created index.html. So if I go back here and see this one, I can see the file, and I can write so this one. So this is you might be familiar, most of you guys, creating the web pages and the simple HTML. So I have this HTML tag, and here in this tag I have had I have the body. So in the body, I can write that hi, this is GitHub tutorial by Abel. So this is one file I've just added, and I can go back here and right click git bash here. So if I want to see what all changes are there now, there all these changes I want to shift to server. So I want other developer also get my changes, so they can make changes in index HTML files. Let's say so I can check git status. So this is the command to check. It is going to tell you which files are changed in this repository. So it is going to it is telling me that this is untracked the file. I can maybe increase the font size so you guys can see it easily. So I'm not sure how can I do that. All right, no issue. So here I have to, Visual Studio Code is also very good. Here it is going to show you, in this third tab. So what the file is new totally, and here it is also showing that. So what I need to do, I need to the second command I need to run git add dot. So what dot is going to do, it is going to commit all the files that have been changed in this repository or folder. So if I click that, so it is going to stage the changes. So as we are going to take all these files, in a we are going to take all these files to the server. So I'm going to stage this. So generally what we have, so if I have a two file, so I can show you one more thing. So then test.html. So this is just anything, it could be anything. So if you see again here, so the changes are there in this test.html, but the stage changes are only index.html. So I can take them out from the staged area. So now both of these files are in the changes section. So if I do the again git add to, so now both of these files are going to be gone in the stage area. I think it doesn't reflect automatically, so you have to just go back and forth sometime so to update this section. So stage changes are both files. So one more thing I can tell you. So if you just want to commit only one file, so you have to git add index.html. So what it is going to do, so I can maybe by clicking here. uh, so you would see, like, the one file is there in the staging area, and I just only want to commit or take this one file in the repository remote location in the GitHub. So what I can do, git commit -m. So this is command for to committing your changes. Initial test file. So what this command is, I should be telling you about this command. So git commit, and then commit means you are going to commit your changes in your local. Right now it is not going to go there in the GitHub repository. So -m is like the flag, and the parameter of this flag is, this thing, whatever message you want to give. So if I click enter, so this is going to, if I click here and go back here, so this is going to commit in your local. But if you would see here in your repository and you refresh here as well, you're not going to see it, because that have been committed locally. So in your local, the commit have been made. Now it is time to, whatever the commit you made, you want this to be there on the server so others can use it. So you would do git push origin. So now it is asking me somehow the username and the password. So one second, let me copy this username. So I'm going to enter the password. I'm going to click OK. So now, so all these changes have been pushed. I just made commit to one file only, which is index.html file. So if I go back here in this repository and I refresh it, I can see that, index file is there, and I can also browse this file. If I go back here, I can see, so this file is already there. All right. So now if other user is going to clone it, so if it is in a position where, now as you have committed your changes and some other person, like your colleague, is going to download this code, they can click on this clone command and copy this one, and what say in git clone, they have to install the git as well and do the git clone this URL, and then they will be able to download and see this page as well. So next thing is, I do not want to, I just want to revert whatever changes I had made in this file. So I can tell you how can I do that. If you want to push this code, you can do it by git add space test.html, and if you want to discard this file, if you think, this file is not a good to commit, so you can do it git reset, hard. And if you go back and go down here, so it is actually, not going to delete the new file because this is untracked files. So but if I make changes here in index.html file, let's say you added one here, and you would see here the index.html is there, and then it shows the changes you have made. You can also see the changes, through this git status. So it is showing that, this file is a new file, and it is calling it as a untracked file, and this one is modified file. So in this area, from this git bash, it only discard those changes that have been modified. So if I do it now, git reset r, so it is going to revert whatever the changes were there in index.html. If you want to remove this file, then you can click this one. This one is like discard button. If I hover over discard changes, so this is, I think, kind of bug in git bash, that it doesn't revert those changes. So but in Visual Studio Code, you can do that by with the UI itself. So now I'm going to really make changes again uh, by using my company name AppWork, let's say, and I'm going to commit these changes. I can see these changes are there. Like I've just added by AppWork, and I can do that. Let's say I have small changes, and this is also a way of doing you're committing your code. So this one is committing the code is committed, but it is not there in the server now, right now. Because if you can see, we have like by app work added there, but here it is by Kapil Garg only. So by Kapil Garg, by app work. So two things are there. So what I should be doing, so git push origin, uh, git push origin. So this is going to commit whatever I had committed, let's say by app work. So this is going to add there uh, in this file. See, so this is how it works. And now let's say if some other user have committed the changes and you want to download those changes, how can you do that? So I can the in the git you can directly make your changes if you're logged in directly. So let's suppose some other user have downloaded and they added by tri city IT, they just added this line only, and I'm going to commit these changes. I can add the description. I mean, the same thing that you were doing for making changes in your local, you can do directly in the GitHub. So it gives you the ability to do some bit of stuff directly here, but it would always be better to do it from your command line from your local. So I just making sure that some other people have made changes made by others. So let's say I should be using person A. So the person A has made it some changes. Suppose they made this change, and I'm going to commit this change. So now in this file, if you refresh, you have by AFAC ITCT, but in your code base, like this is your code base, and you do not have by Tri City, anything like that. So you want those changes this in this file. So how can you do that? So as I already told you, it is with the pull command. So git pull origin. So you would see this text is already added, and it is also telling you that the one file has been changed, two insertions are there, and two deletions are there. So it keeps track in his own way how the changes were made. So it get fetch from the remote repository, and then it merged with the local HTML files in the same line number. So it automatically tracks where the changes had been made and where they need to merge it. So this is a software feature. So they would be doing that. I hope this is practically and making a good sense. So if you want to see it again, you can go back after completing this live. So you'll be able to see it again, the recorded as it will be recorded, and you can see it carefully by slowly. That way, you'll be able to remember all these things very well. So this is the basic thing, and everyone should be knowing it if they are really going for the IT field. And I can tell you, guys should be learning toward, as there's a lockdown and corona situation is there. So make best use of learning, and you guys should be learning React Native, Node.js, HTML, CSS. Nowadays Flutter is also getting very popular, so I think you guys should also learn all these things in your free time. If you some of you guys don't have job, it is really going to be helpful, coming to any IT company. So this is my suggestion to you guys. And coming back to the presentation, because that was enough. So I want to make you understand how, one more thing I think I'm forgetting. So now I want to see, at what point of time who made changes. So I can go back to this repository, and there is a commit here. So this one is the commit ID. Actually, the commit ID is very low, but generally for the reference, we use first, I think, 7 to 8 words. I don't remember exactly. So it is going to tell you, like, this in this commit, these changes were added. So you can check all your commits. I'm not sure where can I see that. Actually, they have changed their, the structure to way show the things. So let me check it out. Here it is. So four commits are there. So it is telling you four snapshots were there. If I click here, I can see from the start. For example, on in 22 minutes ago, we created the repository. So we added the description as initial commit. If I click here, so I can see, in this commit only this README file was added. And if you can see the commit ID, this is very low, right? And if I go back again, and I see initial test files. So these test file, like I added the complete index HTML file. So it shows that, in this one file was changed. There were 9 lines of addition. So these are 9. There were no deletion, and this is the commit ID. So it gives you, all of the changes of your history, and you can, on your local as well. You can go back and do that. For example, if I want to go back to the changes for whenever I made up till this time, so up till by affix, so what I can do, so I can copy this ID. So hit reset, uh, hard paste. So now, right now head is at this position. This only shows was first few characters. So if you go back, so you would see by IT Tri-City, that word has gone because it has reverted those changes. And if you want to see those changes again, get full origin, you can do that. And now it will take it back, again these changes. So now it is on a different commit, updating, this one. So now it is on the latest commit, whatever ID it is. So this is how, it keeps creating the snapshots, and it will give you the commit ID, where you can go back and see whatever changes were there, or you can revert. So all those sort of functionalities you can do that. So let's go back to this. So it goes like this. So what does a typical project look like? So this one, let's say initial commit, and then this one is second commit, third commit, and someone comes in, they make changes. Then it keeps, adding the commits like this. It keeps going like that. And in the master branch, we have the latest one. If you would see, I can go back here. So this is the master branch. So by default, master branch, most of the time master branch is our latest branch. So this is a reference to the commit, and right now master branch is in this commit ID. So you just have to remember. So this is master ID, and master branch is this commit ID. So this is how it represents. So it will keep creating the commits as time going forward. I hope this is clear to you. So now I can. So So a reference to the most recent commit you can take from in between at any point given point of time, it is going to store all the detail as I told you. So reference to the most recent commit is master branch. In most cases, not always true. So the main branch in your project is a master branch. Doesn't always have to be called. You can change it. You can use your name. Let's say my name is Kapil. I can make Kapil as a main branch. But most of the projects, most of the time, we have master branch only, and branching of the master branch. So it is like, if you are in a there are 10 commits, and if you want to create the branch from the fifth commit, then you will be creating a separate branch. So that process is called branch off. To the start of a branch point to a specific commit. So you have to be at a one place to get the code. So either it could be from the master branch, from the latest you will be creating a dev branch or any other branch, or you can go in between and create from their branch. So when you want to make changes to your project, you make a new branch based on a commit. So this is a general typical way of doing the work by the IT companies. So here it is also a key concept of how branching works. So let's say I can name this initial commit as a C0, and then there is a C1 commit. I made some changes. The name of that commit is C1. Then C2 is there. Then from there I created one my own branch C3, because master branch was different and someone else was working in the master branch. I created a new branch from this commit, and then I committed the code in that branch only. Then it becomes C5, and someone else has committed the code in the master branch. So we have a different code in our own branches. So finally, over the time, from C4 and C5, these two commits are going to merge. This C4 and C5 become a C6, because if some developer is working on a different pages and I'm working in a different branch, so all of these ultimately have to combine together, because ultimately the whole code is going to be on the live on the server. So how do you make a commit? So these are the general, as I've already give you a brief idea. There are a lot of states and places a file can be a local on your computer, the working directory, this is the local directory. And when a file is ready to put in a commit, you add it onto the index or the staging area. Staging is, you just have to stage those changes whichever you want to take to the remote repository. Staging is the new preferred term. And then this process makes some changes to a file. Use the git add command, as I already showed you. With the git, you make changes to make them on a stage area. So like git add index.html, and that way, so they are going to go to the staging environment. And then you use git commit with the message -m initial commit or whatever commit. Okay. So so then this one is the main concept. You initially, there's a working directory like your local host, local folder. You make changes, you make this, you commit the code in the staging area, and then you finally commit the code. So all this is the diagram. This is another branch. This comes and merge, and it creates this commit, and it keeps adding commits one by one different. So it becomes really cumbersome and very complicated, the structure, if 10 or 50 developers are working together. So it becomes really a big thing. And so what happens when you do the git commit, it create the commit. So this one is like creating a new commit id f0cec. All right. So earlier, before doing the commit, I was in, this was head, and master was head was on a master branch ed489, but now it has come to this one. So this GitHub is the largest. Most of the projects are hosted in the GitHub. There are like open source repositories are mostly maintained in the GitHub, and they are public. For example, if you talk about the Angular repository, so all the code base you can find in the Angular GitHub /Angular. So because Google keeps all the code in the GitHub, So allows for the code collaboration. So these are the general points. Helps you with the bug tracking, pull request, and more, because these are the high level concepts, and I'm not going to cover the pull request and bug tracking feature request in this session. So this was founded in 2008, and it there is like enterprise edition also available for the beginners. They have the special privilege in GitHub. So these are the additional resources, and this is complete. And now I'm going to little bit about the the diagram way. So I have these diagrams. Those might be really helpful for you guys for overall. So this is how it looks like. So initially starting from here, so a version control system that take changes in a computer files. So you write the code and you store your changes through the git add dot. So because you are staging your changes, so this is a kind of store changes, and you commit your code like this, and then you push your changes through git push command. And then you make a pull request. So this is a pull request, and through the pull request, pull request is kind of a merging from one branch to another. So if you want to get the latest changes from server to your local, then you use the git pull command, and you have to change the branch as well, git checkout. And then for the merging branch, these are the useful command, git merge, and these are the commands. If you want to check which version of git you have installed, it is like git hyphen fn version. And if you want to create a file in your project, this is touch index html. So it is kind of a command to create a file in a Unix based system, and initialize Git repository like git init. This is like if you do not have any branch on the server and you want to make your repository. I mean, you just want to work it locally. So you will initializing through git init. So the .git folder will be created automatically. So if you want to add a file, as I did showed you, git add index html or git add dot, it will add all the files and to the status of the file, whether those files were changed or they were untracked, they were new files. So you can do that by git status, and then you can remove the files as well, like this one, git remove cache it in if you want to remove a particular file. And to commit your changes, git commit -m changes. And the branching, you if you want to create a branch, git branch login. So this is going to create the branch. And then there is the second slide. So this is the workflow. You write the code, you commit the code, and then you make the pull request. And a README file is a file to explain exactly what this repository that you are working upon. For example, if you're working on a mobile application where you are, let's say, WhatsApp kind of application. So all the codes about the information, like if some other developer wants to use this code, they have to use the certain commands. So all these information are gathered and written here. And create initially you there are the steps. So creates a new repository in your terminal, write git remote dot. So these are other different commands I'm not going to cover. This is just for the reference purpose. And this is like adding a remote origins. I right now we have one origin only. We can add multiple origins as well, and you will see all of these. And git push origin, as I already explained you. So that is it. And hopefully all of these things make a really good sense to you. And I hope everyone will learn a lot and do the hard work in getting job as well. So this is going to be really useful for you guys. So you can always, I can write my email here as well. So in the comment section. So I have just written down my email, and my LinkedIn profile is this one. So you can, if you want, you can directly message me in the LinkedIn as well. So if you need any recommendation, anything you kind of help you guys would be needing, so I'm there for you. Thank you everyone for your time and effort. Stay healthy and stay learning, keep learning. Thank you. Bye.